The mockery. The skies over New Beijing lit up with the iridescent glow of the alien ships as they descended through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the platform of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, her weathered face betraying no emotion as the Galactic Confederation's delegation emerged from their vessel. 6 years had passed since humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, and today marked the 4th official diplomatic mission to Earth. "They still look at us like we're some kind of cosmic joke," muttered Admiral Harrison, standing beside Elena. His eyes tracked the tall, willowy forms of the Vanari delegates as they glided across the landing pad, their silvery skin reflecting the autumn sunlight. "Let them," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the tension coiled within her. "Their arrogance will be their undoing." The lead alien, Ambassador Talox, approached with the fluid grace characteristic of his species, his 7-fingered hand extended in the human gesture they had adopted for these meetings, a concession that felt more patronizing than respectful. "Commander Vasquez." Talox's voice resonated with the melodic quality of the Vanari, as sound humans had once found beautiful. "The Confederation extends its continued greetings to your resilient species." Elena accepted the handshake, ignoring the subtle emphasis on resilient, a word that had become the Confederation's diplomatic code for primitive yet surprisingly not extinct. "Ambassador, welcome back to Earth." The meeting proceeded as expected. The Vanari and their allies, the crystalline Misdari, and the hive-minded Colthus, presented their assessment of Earth's application to join the Confederation. As always, their conclusion was the same. Earth was categorized as a Class 4 death world, its inhabitants considered an evolutionary anomaly. "Your species has developed on a planet that by all galactic standards should have extinguished intelligent life before it emerged," explained Science Minister Kezra of the Mesdari, her crystalline form glinting as she projected holographic comparisons. "The gravity alone would crush most sentient beings. The atmospheric composition, the solar radiation levels, the biological diversity of pathogens, all constitute an environment hostile to complex life." Admiral Harrison's jaw tightened. "Yet here we stand." "Indeed," Kezra continued, her tone carrying the same bemused condescension Elena had grown to detest. "Your physiological adaptations, your dense bone structure, your extensive immune responses, your aggressive cellular regeneration, these are fascinating anomalies. Adaptations born of evolutionary pressure that would have terminated other developing species. What the aliens consistently failed to understand, or perhaps chose to ignore, was that these anomalies represented humanity's greatest strength. Earth's harshness had forged a species that did not merely survive. It conquered." After the delegation departed, Elena met with the United Earth Council in the underground chambers beneath the headquarters. President Quan, representatives from every continent, and the heads of Earth's unified military branches sat around the circular table, faces grim under the soft blue lighting. "They've denied our application again," President Quan stated flatly, scanning through the digital document the aliens had left. "But this time, they've added a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" General Okonkwo of the African Alliance asked, leaning forward. "They're offering to elevate humanity," Quan replied, his voice thick with disgust. "A process they call evolutionary assistance. They want to genetically modify our future generations to be more suited to what they consider civilized galactic living." The room erupted in angry murmurs. Elena remained silent, observing the reactions around her. The Confederation's offer was both an insult and a threat, a thinly veiled attempt to weaken humanity under the guise of assistance. "There's more," Quan continued, silencing the room. "Intelligence reports indicate they're building up military forces in our solar system. The Confederation Council has classified Earth as a potential destabilizing element due to our disproportionate biological aggression. They fear us," Elena stated, speaking for the first time since the meeting began. All eyes turned to her. They've spent the last 6 years studying us, cataloging our strengths as if they were aberrations. They mock what they don't understand because they fear what they cannot control. Admiral Harrison nodded. The intercepted communications between their ships suggest they're preparing for containment measures, not diplomatic relations. They don't intend to welcome us into their confederation. They intend to neutralize what they perceive as a threat. Then perhaps it's time to show them why they should fear us, said Defense Minister Takahashi, his usually calm demeanor hardened with resolve. Project Prometheus is ready. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Project Prometheus had been Earth's most closely guarded secret, a technological leap born from the reverse engineering of salvaged alien technology combined with humanity's unique approach to warfare. Named after the Titan who stole fire from the gods, it represented humanity's refusal to remain technologically inferior. Are we certain? President Kwan asked, the weight of the decision evident in his voice. Once we reveal Prometheus, there's no going back. The Confederation will see it as an act of aggression. With respect, Mr. President, Elena interjected, they already consider our existence an aggression. The only difference is whether we meet their inevitable attack as equals or as subjects. The decision was made. Earth would activate the defensive grid hidden throughout the solar system, a network of weaponized satellites and automated battle platforms that had been concealed from alien sensors. Humanity would no longer play the role of the primitive species grateful for alien acknowledgement. 3 days later, the Confederation's true intentions became clear. A fleet of Kolthis warships entered Earth's orbit without warning or diplomatic preamble. Their demand was transmitted globally. Earth would accept evolutionary modification and Confederation oversight, or face protective quarantine, a euphemism for planetary blockade and forced compliance. What the Confederation did not know was that humanity had prepared for this moment. As the alien ships positioned themselves for orbital dominance, Admiral Harrison gave the order that would change the course of galactic history. Activate Prometheus. All sectors, all platforms. Throughout the solar system, concealed human installations hummed to life. Within Earth's orbit, the seemingly innocuous weather and communication satellites transformed, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight. The Kolthis ships, expecting minimal resistance, found themselves suddenly surrounded by a defense grid that hadn't existed moments before. Signal from the Kolthis flagship, reported Communications Officer Liu. They're demanding an explanation for our sudden technological advancement. Elena smiled grimly. Tell them it's not an advancement. It's what we've been hiding while they were busy underestimating us. The Kolthis commander, visible on the main screen of Earth's defense headquarters, couldn't conceal his agitation. The segmented exoskeleton of his face shifted in patterns that human xenolinguists recognized as extreme alarm. This level of military technology is prohibited for non-Confederation species, he chittered. Your deception violates all protocols of first contact. Interesting, Elena replied coolly. Just as your unprovoked military incursion violates those same protocols. Return to your territory, Commander. This is the only warning Earth will issue. The standoff lasted 17 tense hours. The Kolthis fleet, realizing they were outmatched by Earth's unexpected defenses, ultimately retreated beyond the lunar orbit. But everyone in Earth's command knew this was only the beginning. They'll be back, Admiral Harrison stated as they watched the alien ships depart. And next time, they'll come prepared for Prometheus. Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the retreating Confederation forces. Then we'll need to be prepared to show them what Deathworlders are truly capable of. In the weeks that followed, humanity unified as never before. The revelation of the alien threat eliminated political divisions that had plagued Earth for centuries. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to enhance the Prometheus system, while military forces trained for scenarios once confined to science fiction. The Confederation, meanwhile, gathered its forces. Intercepted communications revealed the formation of a punitive fleet, ships from all 17 member species converging with the explicit purpose of subduing Earth once and for all. Their mistake, Elena remarked during a strategy session with Earth's unified command, is that they still think of us as primitives playing with stolen technology. They haven't grasped that we've not only mastered their science, we've improved upon it. The heart of Project Prometheus wasn't merely the defensive grid that had surprised the Colthis. Its true breakthrough lay in the prototype offensive ships constructed in secret facilities throughout the asteroid belt. Vessels built with a hybrid of alien technology and human innovation, designed specifically for the kind of warfare that the peace-oriented Confederation had long abandoned. When the Confederation's armada arrived at the edge of the solar system, they'd broadcast their ultimatum to all of Earth: surrender to evolutionary modification or face extinction. Their fleet was vast, hundreds of ships arranged in the ceremonial formation that had intimidated countless species into submission throughout the galaxy. Earth's response came not in words, but in action. From concealed bases on Mars, Europa, and throughout the asteroid belt, humanity's own fleet emerged, sleek, predatory vessels that embodied the very evolutionary traits the aliens had dismissed as aberrations. The first battle for Earth's future had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn why Deathworlders were not to be mocked. The reckoning. The vast emptiness of space beyond Mars' orbit erupted in blinding flashes as humanity's fleet engaged the Confederation armada. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, the flagship of Earth's previously hidden navy. The tactical display showed the unfolding battle, a chaotic dance of light and destruction that would determine the fate of human civilization. They're maintaining traditional Confederation battle formations, reported Tactical Officer Ramos, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface, just as our intelligence predicted. Elena nodded, unsurprised. The Confederation's military doctrine had remained largely unchanged for millennia. Their technological superiority had eliminated the need for tactical innovation. Against less advanced species, their standardized approach had always been sufficient. Today, that complacency would cost them dearly. Execute maneuver Thermopylae, Elena ordered, her voice calm despite the stakes. Around her, the crew of the Prometheus, hand-selected from Earth's finest military minds, implemented the strategy they had rehearsed countless times. Earth's fleet, outnumbered 3-1, suddenly dispersed in a pattern that appeared chaotic to conventional military analysis. The Confederation commanders, expecting Earth's ships to cluster protectively around their homeworld, found their carefully planned assault disintegrating into confusion. "The Mesderi cruisers are redirecting to intercept our flanking units," Ramos reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They've taken the bait." The crystalline vessels of the Mesderi, magnificent constructions that resembled moving geometric sculptures, broke formation to pursue what they perceived as Earth's vulnerable squadrons. It was precisely what Elena had anticipated. The Mesderi, with their hive-mind approach to warfare, excelled at overwhelming single targets, but struggled when forced to divide their attention. "All ships, execute Phase 2, Elena commanded. The seemingly retreating Earth vessels suddenly pivoted, their engines flaring with a brilliance that momentarily blinded the Mesderi sensors. The human ships had developed a propulsion system that utilized the very solar radiation the aliens had deemed a hazard of Earth's harsh environment. Where Confederation vessels relied on carefully regulated antimatter reactions, Earth's ships channeled the chaotic energy of their star, unpredictable, violent, and devastatingly effective. The bridge of the Prometheus vibrated with the discharge of its main weaponry, not the elegant precision beams favored by the Confederation, but concentrated bursts of plasma that mimicked the coronal mass ejections of Earth's sun. The first volley tore through the lead Mesderi cruiser, its crystalline structure shattering into a million glittering fragments. "The Colthis dreadnought is moving to support the Mesderi," Communications Officer Liu announced. "They're transmitting orders for all ships to regroup." Admiral Harrison, who had insisted on joining the Prometheus for this decisive battle, stepped forward. "Now we show them what Deathworlders do best," he said grimly. "We adapt." At his words, Earth's fleet implemented the most closely guarded aspect of Project Prometheus, the ability to reconfigure their weapon systems in real time, adapting to the enemy's defenses as they were encountered. As the Colfists brought their formidable shields online, the human vessels shifted their attack patterns, probing for weaknesses with a speed that left the hive mind coordination of the aliens stuttering to respond. Aboard the Confederation command ship, the combined leadership of the alien alliance watched in growing horror as their forces, technologically superior and vastly more experienced in space warfare, found themselves outmaneuvered by the primitive Deathworlders they had dismissed for years. Ambassador Talox, present as a diplomatic observer, turned to Fleet Commander Zerlix of the Vanari. "How is this possible? Their technology was assessed as centuries behind our own." Zerlix had no answer. The elegant algorithmic predictions that had guided Confederation military strategy for millennia were failing in the face of human unpredictability. The battle raged for hours, expanding across the solar system as Earth's forces drew the Confederation fleet away from their homeworld. It was a strategy born from humanity's long history of asymmetrical warfare, when facing a superior force changed the nature of the conflict. "Sir," Ramos called out, her voice tight with urgency. "The Vanari flagship is attempting to break through to Earth. They've engaged some form of phase-shifting technology we haven't seen before." Elena's eyes narrowed. "They're desperate. They still believe if they can threaten Earth directly, we'll surrender." She turned to the navigation officer. "Intercept course. Maximum burn." The Prometheus surged forward, its engines pushing beyond safety parameters as it moved to block the Vanari flagship's approach to Earth. The two vessels converged at speeds that made conventional combat impossible, a game of interstellar chicken with the fate of a species at stake. At the last possible moment, Elena gave the order that revealed humanity's final, terrible adaptation. "Deploy the Lazarus Protocol." Throughout the Prometheus, crew members activated specialized interfaces that linked their neural patterns directly to the ship's systems. It was technology the Confederation had never developed, a melding of mind and machine that the aliens had considered too dangerous to pursue. For humanity, danger had always been the price of progress. The Prometheus seemed to anticipate the Vanari flagship's every move, responding with a speed and precision that no automated system could match. Human neural patterns, evolved over millennia to survive Earth's unforgiving environment, now guided humanity's ultimate weapon. The Vanari ship, despite its advanced technology, could not match this fusion of human intuition and machine precision. Its elegant phase-shifting defenses faltered under the Prometheus's relentless assault. Within minutes, the pride of the Confederation fleet was reduced to a drifting hulk, its systems crippled by targeted strikes that had bypassed its most sophisticated protections. Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out as Earth's distributed fleet systematically dismantled the Confederation armée. It wasn't simply a battle. It was a demonstration of why evolution on a death world created warriors unlike any the galaxy had seen. 6 hours after the initial engagement, Admiral Harrison received the transmission they had been waiting for. The remaining Confederation forces, less than a third of their original strength, were requesting terms of surrender. "Put them through," Harrison ordered, straightening his uniform as the holographic form of Fleet Commander Zerlix materialized on the bridge. The Vanari commander's silver skin had dulled with stress, his normally fluid movements now stiff with the unfamiliar posture of defeat. "The Galactic Confederation formally requests cessation of hostilities," he stated, his melodic voice flattened by translation and humiliation. "Unconditional withdrawal from the Sol system," Harrison replied without hesitation, "and recognition of Earth's sovereign status outside Confederation authority." Zerlix's features shifted in what humans had learned to recognize as disbelief. "You cannot expect." "We expect," Elena interrupted, stepping into view, "exactly what we demand. Your fleet is decimated. Your homeworlds are now vulnerable. The Confederation has a choice: acknowledge humanity as equals, or discover what it truly means to provoke a species that evolved on a world you deemed too harsh for intelligent life. The threat was not empty. Even as they spoke, a second human fleet, the existence of which had been kept secret even from most of Earth's leadership, was positioned near the jump points leading to key Confederation worlds. The message was clear: push humanity further, and the war would no longer be confined to Earth's solar system. After a long silence, Zerlix conceded: the Confederation will withdraw. Terms will be negotiated for formal recognition of Earth's independence. When the transmission ended, the bridge of the Prometheus erupted in cautious celebration. Humanity had not merely survived. They had shattered the myth of Confederation invincibility that had kept 1,000 worlds in line for millennia. 2 months later, Alina stood beside President Quan in the newly constructed Hall of Diplomatic Affairs in Geneva as representatives from all 17 Confederation species arrived for the formal signing of the Treaty of Sol. The document acknowledged Earth not as a subject world or a primitive curiosity, but as the founding member of a new interstellar alliance, one based on mutual respect rather than evolutionary hierarchy. Ambassador Talox, now serving as the Confederation's chief diplomat to Earth, approached Elena during the reception following the signing ceremony. "I must confess," he said, his voice carrying the subtle harmonic that indicated sincere communication in Vanari culture, "we fundamentally misunderstood humanity." "How so?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. "We saw your physiological adaptations, your strength, your resilience, your aggressive immune responses, as evolutionary quirks that somehow allowed you to survive on a hostile world. We failed to recognize that these traits were not despite your intelligence, but integral to it." Talox's inner eyelids flickered in what humans had learned was contemplation. "Your minds evolved to overcome threats, to solve problems that would have extinguished other species. We categorized Earth as a death world without understanding that such an environment doesn't merely test life, it forges it." Alina considered his words, remembering the countless generations of human ancestors who had survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and their own destructive tendencies to produce a species that refused to accept limitations. "The universe is unforgiving, Ambassador," she finally replied. "All worlds are death worlds if you're not prepared to fight for your place in them." As the diplomatic gathering continued around them, ships from both Earth and the Confederation began the process of establishing new trade routes and cultural exchanges. Humanity would join the galactic community, not as subjects or curiosities, but as equals who had earned their place through fire and determination. In the decades that followed, the term Deathworlder would transform throughout the galaxy, from a dismissive classification to a term of respect. Other species who had evolved on harsh planets, previously marginalized by the Confederation's hierarchy, found inspiration in humanity's stand and began to assert their own strengths. The galaxy learned what humanity had known throughout its bloody, beautiful history: that true strength comes not from avoiding struggle, but from being forged in its flames, and that those who mock what they fear will eventually face what they mocked.